The human body has got to be one of the most adaptable fucking systems on the face of this earth. We can quite literally do anything and everything that we set our minds to with a little bit of work, a little bit of effort, a little bit of time and consistency. This is how I've built my physique. What's up? Welcome back to the vlog. This little rendition is basically going to be a bit of a journey through the ages in relation to how I have changed up my training styles, but also more or less developed my physique over this point in time, because honestly, like, I've had a pretty fucking massive switch up and like, it's been crazy. My body has gone through some shit. I have been able to do some really fucking cool stuff over my time, and it's all just come down to my body's adaptability. So firstly, I was always a pretty fucking skinny kid. I would say I ranged on the side of almost being a little bit too skinny. When I graduated high school, wherever I put the photo, I was 17 years old, I was 6'2", and I was 55 kilos. Tiny, 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 tiny. And I just didn't care at the time. Like, at that point in time, all I really cared about was sport. So growing up my entire life, from 3 years old to 17, I played AFL. From 8 till 12, I did little athletics, but then I did athletics all the way through school as well. Did everything from roller hockey, speed skating, cross country, athletics, mixed netball, touch footy, obviously all the school sports you could probably think about. I was pretty good at volleyball as well. And I was always like okay, but not great. I was never, you know, the fucking top player on the team or anything like that. And I did start coaching under 8s AFL at 13 years old, which actually then allowed me to like bridge more into that coaching realm. So like, I guess technically speaking, I've actually been coaching since I was 13. So, you know, the better part of 16 years off and on for the core foundation of where my coaching journey actually started. So I've been at this a very fucking long time. It's actually coming up to 8 years as a PT at the moment, which is pretty interesting as well. Probably going to do some sort of vlog or something on that. So I'm not going to go too much into that today, but yes, 17 years old, 55 kilos, really had never stepped foot inside a gym, was just stupidly active and underate because we were never taught about nutrition at that point in time. But, you know, I was playing against grown adults in footy and they were two times the size of me. So it never really eventuated in anything good, which then resulted in me getting quite injured and having to stop playing football due to concussions. And I'd been knocked out too many times in a season, and then was told by the physio at the time, hey, you're actually not allowed to play contact sport for at least 3 years due to all these scans and everything like that. I was one of the first people in Australia to go through what was then very, very new, all the HIA stuff, all the concussion protocols, all of that, that had just come out of the States. So yeah, it was pretty serious. It was pretty severe. I was dealing with some pretty dog shit symptoms. So for me, it was basically at 17 years old, I was then just told, hey, you're not allowed to do the thing that you've done your entire life. Wasn't long after school, I packed up, moved all my things down to the Goldie, which was fine because all I cared about going into from there was going to surfing. All I wanted to do was surf. And I mean, I wasn't very good, but I still tried my best and had a bit of a crack at it. It was through this time of surfing that one of the lecturers at uni actually said, if you want to get better at surfing, go and join a gym. So the next day I went down, I joined the local Snap Fitness, I went straight to a sup store and bought a mass gainer, and I didn't go back for a month. Kind of off and on, dabbled in the gym a little bit, but was predominantly just surfing, all of that sort of shit around that time. And I was, you know, by that point, because I wasn't playing footy or doing anything like that for as much, what I'd noticed is I just naturally put on weight. I was eating like shit, or just eating whatever I wanted really. First time out of home, drinking, all of that sort of stuff that comes with being fresh 18. I went from about 55 to about 70 kilos just through that process. And then I started going to the gym a little bit more seriously on the back end of some pretty severe mental health issues. I have spoken about that before on social media, in my podcast, and all the rest of it, so I won't go too deep into it today. But with that time, I had just survived a suicide attempt, and the only thing I could really do to stop feeling like shit every single day was just go to the gym. So I'd go to the gym of a nighttime when no one else was there. I would just watch YouTube videos or whatever, and I'd go to the toilet, watch a YouTube video, go back out, do the exercise, go back in, do the same thing over and over and over again, and it would be 10 or 11 at night, long into the night, just because I didn't really have anything else to do or anywhere else to be. And through that process, really started to fall in love with the gym, started to fall in love with training, started to fall in love with all of that. I was about 70 kilos when I started going to the gym, or about 65 to 70 kilos. And I just thought that if you were putting on weight, that you were getting bigger and stronger, and that's all I thought. So as soon as I saw the scale go up, I was like, perfect, I'm gaining size. I went from about 70 kilos to 95 in the span of around 6 to 12 months. So I just got fat. I remember trying to bench, like through this time, I just really put on a heap of really unhealthy tissue. I remember trying to bench 100 kilos for the first time, and it is the funniest fucking video. I'm definitely gonna upload it. Trying to bench 100 kilos for the first time is the most dog shit rep ever. I got fat. I thought I was getting huge. I thought I was massive. I just wasn't. It was then when I decided to do a cut with an ASN challenge that I cut down, and I dropped 15 or 17 kilos or some shit. So I was basically back at square one, back down into that 70 kilo range. Lost everything because I just obviously just put on fat. I was eating a disgusting diet at the time. I didn't have any idea about calories or macros or any of it. I just thought food, 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 food. And that was all that was really available to you at the time. The very first program I ever ran, was Steve Cook's on bodybuilding.com, which was just like a college bro program. And then I kind of just kept following that for a while. As I started to take the gym a little bit more seriously, I started to get a little bit more back into calisthenics, I should say, which wasn't too dissimilar from things I did in my childhood, because I was very heavily into parkour as well. So I quite liked all that bodyweight style of training as a kid. And then I kind of just brought it into the gym as I got older. I was really good at pull-ups, chin-ups, push-ups, dips, all the rest of it, all the stuff that you need to be good at Cali for. And I dove really hard into that. Through the process of doing calisthenics, I actually got my first nutrition coach, who everybody on Instagram, YouTube, social media might know him as the cream bun guy, Mr. Chris William, Limitless Training. He was my very first nutrition coach way back in the day when I was about 19 years old. And I just finished the ASN challenge, felt like shit, looked like shit. He was the biggest dude in the gym, and I was like, how do I look like you? And he took me under his wing, taught me so much. We did a bulk. We did my first cut where I actually looked good when I did a cut. And then off and on over the years, just continued to bulk up, cut down, bulk up, cut down. Doing calisthenics, obviously I had to stay quite lean, and throughout that process, I got really fucking lean. I was just doing pretty much Cali, running, weight training still. So I was still training within the gym as well. And this was, I guess, hybrid before it was actually hybrid training. And that was kind of cool. Like, it's, people nowadays, they've obviously got this negative connotation around like what hybrid is. And, even myself, I've made jokes about it as I've come back to it and all the rest of it. And people they know me as powerlifting Josh. They don't really know much about the previous Josh, or the people that do know, can kind of be like, oh, well, yeah, this isn't actually too dissimilar from what he was doing previously and what I've done my entire life, realistically. But now it's got a name to it. It's got all these other fucking things, whatever. It is what it is. I love it. And so through Cali, I got great upper body size and all the rest of it, but I realized my legs were just a little bit too small for someone who was 6'2". I got pretty fucking lean throughout this period as well, which did not help my leg size whatsoever. So I bought an online training program, Thor's Power program, off of Sebastian Oreb, which was, it was a strongman program at the time that you could just do in a normal gym. And I basically ran that program, and I took my squat, bench, deadlift. I took my squat from 155 all the way up to 200. My bench went from like 105, 110 to 140. And my deadlift, I'd never really deadlifted much before, but I managed to deadlift 200. I got really sick before I could actually test it, so I never got to fully test it. But yeah, I deadlifted 200 kilos, which I was pretty happy with. And it was there that I fell in love with powerlifting, strength, etc. So I really went hard down the route of powerlifting. If you haven't picked it up, I kind of have an ability to hyperfixate on things. It could be the ADHD, could just be when I do something, I want to try and get good at it. So I went really hard down the powerlifting route, and that meant that I had to just put on size. So when I did that testing after Thor's power program, I was about 85 to 90 kilos. I was reasonably lean, and then I just slowly kept putting on size until I got to about 110 kilos. So I got to 110 kilos, which is what I weighed in for my first competition. So the very first powerlifting comp I ever did, I was around 108 to 110 kilos. I got to that natty. And then after that competition, I became enhanced. And from there, I've been enhanced since. So I was about 24, 25. Originally, I did have to get on as a result of some medical issues that I was dealing with. But yeah, I've always been pretty open about being enhanced and untested, and competed untested my entire powerlifting career from there. But from there, I would then go on to bounce between 110 to 115 kilos, right up until I went to do my last comp, where I was like, fuck it, I just need to get big. If I want to fill out I need to fill out my frame, I need to be in the 125s. So I just started to bulk all the way up to that. I got to the heaviest I ever got to of my nighttime weight, which is 122 kilos. So that's a pretty fucking stark difference. 122 from 55 at 17, right? I was not healthy. I was not functional. I was not fit. I was not able to do basically anything in my life besides lift heavy circles. And as much as I loved powerlifting and I loved everything the sport has given me, and I still love being involved in it to this day, I'll probably never regret anything more than not at least keeping some ability to actually move and some cardio base throughout that time. If there's one thing I could say to any powerlifter now, is keep some form of aerobic conditioning, keep some form of aerobic base, because it will only benefit you in the long run. I let all of that go. I basically couldn't run, I couldn't do anything, got really fucking heavy, got really uncomfortable. And after my last comp, I decided that I'd had enough of being that big. In my last competition, I totaled 742.5. I squatted 270, which wasn't great. It was actually under my best comp squat to date, but I'd squatted 293 times in the gym. I count my gym total. My best gym total is 770. My best comp total is 742. So they're not too far off each other, but I mean, it's what matters on the platform at the end of the day, which is a pretty big increase from my very first comp, which was 235, 140, 250, or 240, sorry, I should say, 240 deadlift. So I was pretty happy with that progression over about 4 years or so. And then I decided, I was like, cool, I'm gonna cut down. I'm gonna go back down to the 110s. I'm gonna compete in sleeves. I'm gonna change up everything. And throughout the process of actually prepping and peaking for a final comp, life just decided it had other ideas in place, and it imploded. And I was like, okay, I need to take control of something here. And I stopped. Throughout that last year where I was looking at doing my final comp anyway for a small period of time, I'd kept going back to the idea of going back to play footy again. I'd been watching the Hawks play, and I'd fucking loved watching them play. I was getting so energized every single week. I just loved it. It was so fucking cool. And I was like, man, it'd be really good to be able to go back and play footy. But at this point in time, I was about 110 kilos and I hadn't ran in like 7 years. So it was a pretty impossible feat. Anywho, decided to pull out of the last comp I was going to do, and I was like, fuck it, I'm going back to play footy. So this was around September, and I was like, I'm going to play footy by February next year. it was hard. It was hard. I was about 108 kilos when I pulled the pin. I made it to play footy, and I weighed in about 95 kilos. So I dropped a fair bit of weight. I got pretty lean. I was really happy with my physique. I was able to run, but I'd had really, really bad shin splints to the point where it was like incredibly debilitating. So it essentially meant that the entire year I played footy, all I could really do was play one game a week. Couldn't train legs because my shins were so bad. I'd lost all motivation in a majority of my training. I could barely do footy training, which meant my skills and fitness just wasn't being able to increase because I just couldn't physically do it. And as much as I loved playing footy, I loved being in the social aspect, I loved playing with the boys and having a good time and all that sort of thing, I lost a lot of love for training as a whole, and I really started to lose a lot of love for just a lot of aspects of anything to do with training. And it really started to affect me because I am somebody who has quite literally trained since I could walk. And I've loved it. I've always loved being active. So to have that taken away from me by doing something that I was really passionate and loved, it did suck. It did really, it affected me. And that's why when I wrapped up the end of last season, I was like, okay, cool. For right now, I'm probably not going to go back to play footy because I want to be able to get back into the swing of things with my training. And that's when I started to just slowly build up my capacity to run again. So I just started with one run a week. I was training 3 times a week on top of that. I slowly implemented some other forms of training through like conditioning circuits and all the rest of it. I was at one point for a small period of time doing a sprinting day, but that really affected my shins quite a lot. And it was a little bit just, again, I was trying to find the things that I could do where I could continue to find that enjoyment in my training without losing it and not having to deal with like injuries and shit like that. So my body just kept, fluctuating up and down. Finished the season about 95 kilos. Went and started just doing more of the, I guess, quote unquote, hybrid style of training. Went back to my roots a little bit more. So I was doing weight days, conditioning days, cardio days, running, and all the rest of it. Slowly built up my running from once a week, and then I pushed it to twice a week, which is where it's still at now. And I've been able to build up some really decent Ks, and I've only just now been able to go and actually do some more specific training within the running. So actually just set like Monday as a threshold interval day and set Thursday as a long run. And then my training in and around that has been really fucking fun. I covered it a little bit in last week's vlog, but at the moment it's Monday is my track day, Tuesday's legs, Wednesday's upper body, Thursday's long run, Friday's legs, Saturday has been upper body. This will be slightly changing as of this week because I have just gone and joined a different gym that has classes and has some more high rocks specific stuff involved in it. So now I'm going to be doing a high rocks class on a Sunday, and Monday morning will be a HIIT style workout, and then Monday afternoon will be track. Tuesday will still be legs. Wednesday will still be upper body. Thursday will still be long run. Friday morning will be a morning HIIT class, and then I will likely do a upper body training session on the Friday afternoon, and Saturday will be completely off. I need one day off, at least one full day off a week. As much as I'd love to train 7 days a week, I know that I can't. Through this transition from coming off the back end of footy to now, I got myself to the leanest and best shape of my life. I cut from 95 kilos down to 89 kilos, and I was arguably in the best condition I've ever been in. I wasn't small. I felt reasonably big still, despite the fact I was quite depleted by the end of it. I felt fucking jacked as shit. I was fitter than I've ever been. I was able to do all of the things I wanted to do, and it reignited my love and passion for training so fucking much that I have just been riding this high for as long as I can. I absolutely fucking froth training at the moment. I am fucking loving all aspects of my training. It's just fun. It's fun to be strong. Like, I can run a track session on a Monday where I'm setting 3 PBs across the board. Going on a Tuesday, still RDL 200 kilos plus for reps. I'm still squatting a decent amount of weight. I'm still able to do all of the things I want to do. I'm jumping further, higher than I've ever jumped in my life. My upper body stuff, I'm feeling the best I've ever felt. I feel incredibly confident across the board with how I'm looking, how I'm performing, and all the rest of it. And it has really reignited my love for just training as a whole, and just shown me that, like, man, you don't need to put yourself in one basket, but every single thing I've done my entire life has led me to be able to continue to do the things that I want to do in the next chapters. So by having all of the base of everything that I've done throughout my childhood growing up, it's allowed me to continue to do some of that stuff into adulthood. From having the massive amount of strength and the base of strength that I've developed through powerlifting and the core strength and stability and all the rest of it, it's then allowed me to go and do the other things I've been able to do with footy, with training now, like still keeping a really solid base of strength at current. And when I finished my cut at about 89 kilos, I was, the best shape I've ever been. I'm currently sitting around 91 to 92, sitting roughly on maintenance, just chipping away, kind of trying to see how the body's responding to the extra training output that I will be doing. And then I'll be adjusting my program accordingly to ensure that I'm not, overtraining, overreaching too much, too fast, keeping everything from a fatigue standpoint at a good level so that I can actually push it for an extended period of time before having to run deloads and things like that. But yeah, for the most part, that's pretty much my fucking journey. As I said, I started off so small and I got really fucking big. And I've been just about every body shape and size in between that since. And I've loved every time I've set myself a goal, I've achieved it. Anytime I've wanted to go and do something physically, I've been able to do it because my body has allowed me to do so. I've set the goal, I've put the work in to achieve what I wanted to achieve, and I've gone and done it. So I may not be the best athlete ever, I may not be the strongest, the fittest, the fastest, the best at anything. I've always been good or good enough. So I think this is like a really key thing, is you are so fucking capable of whatever you want to achieve in life. And if you just start to put in the work, I can guarantee you can achieve things beyond your wildest dreams. For me nowadays, I can set myself some pretty, what would be quoted as unrealistic goals, because I have seen the fucking massive amount of evidence that I can actually go and achieve it. There's not many people who can say they've deadlifted 300 kilos, run a half marathon, competed in a decently high level of footy when they were a teenager, and all the rest of it in their lives. And I've been lucky enough that I have been able to experience that and do those things. And yeah, I'm gonna leave it on that. That's gonna be it. Thank you for fucking tuning in. If you have an obscure goal or a dream or something that you think is unrealistic, put in the fucking work. Go and achieve it, because I can promise you, you will blow your own mind with how capable and adaptable the human body actually is. Have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you on the next one.